Today, the ACCC launched federal court action alleging that Qantas has misled its customers.
Qantas accused of selling tickets for more than 8,000 already cancelled flights between May and July 2022.
Qantas continued to sell tickets on those flights after the cancellation date for a period of at least 2 weeks after the cancellation date.
The ACCC also alleging the airline failed to notify ticket holders of cancelled flights for up to 48 days. Qantas says it takes allegations by the ACCC seriously, and it's important to note that the period examined was a time of unprecedented upheaval for the entire airline industry. But the ACCC says it receives more complaints about the flying kangaroo than any other business, logging more than 1,300 on Qantas flight cancellations alone last year.
Which was roughly 50% of the complaints that we received in relation to Qantas.
The consumer watchdog also echoing calls for increased competition as the government today walked back comments that blocking extra Qatar airline flights into Australia was essential to ensuring Qantas's viability.
The Australian government wants to ensure that our airline industry is viable and competitive, that it's delivering good services to customers.
And Anthony Albanese signed up to a sweetheart deal in secret that we don't know any detail of, and it means that Australians are going to be paying more and more for their airfares.
It comes off the back of a turbulent week for the national carrier.
Isn't it true that you are indeed hoarding slots in and out of Sydney?
Don't you feel embarrassed? Because I tell you what, I'd feel embarrassed if I was you.
Can you confirm how many flight credits Qantas Group is holding on behalf of Australian consumers?
Qantas today bowing to public pressure and scrapping the expiry date for around $370 million worth of flight credits.
We're doing this because we've listened.
So will Qantas come in for a smooth landing, or is there another storm ahead?
We did invite Qantas to come on the show. They declined, so we can't listen. But Bonza boss Tim Jordan was happy to come on, and there he is. Tim, is this common practice within the industry to sell seats on cancelled flights?
No, it's fair to say that wouldn't be standard practice. When you really don't want to be selling seats on flights you're not going to be operating, that's for sure.
Oh, well, the obvious question now is, has Bonza ever done that?
Certainly not knowingly. It's not something that, as I say, unfortunately, cancellations do happen on all airlines, ourselves included occasionally. We try and avoid them, but we certainly wouldn't go out of our way to be obviously selling seats on any flights that we know that we're going to be cancelled ahead of time.
Tim, the last time we spoke to you, it was about Qantas and claims of slot hoarding, where they hog takeoff and landing times at airports and then cancel at the last minute so no other airline can take it. Now, this week, Qantas has strongly denied the practice. What do you say about that?
I think there's enough independent reports, as well as obviously commentary from the ACCC themselves, saying that in actual fact there does seem to be something unexplainable happening. I think there is an issue with slot hoarding. We would like to access Sydney. We don't think it's right that Bonza, as a new start-up carrier, isn't able to basically bring more destinations and more growth to approximately 1/4 of the country.
Tim, what did you make of the Qatar controversy this week? Is Qantas in bed with the government?
I think in any supply and demand situation, I think airfares have been too high. Anything which can help decrease that pressure in terms of the supply of seats, surely that's got to be a good thing. So it is a little surprising, more than a little surprising. And I think, unfortunately, consumers and the general public are carrying the cost of that.
Tim, do you have any hope in the future that Australia is going to have a properly competitive airline industry?
I am hopeful. If there is sufficient political will to encourage that to happen. The telecoms, the supermarkets, banking, they are incredibly competitive compared to the 95% or nearly 95% control that 2 airline groups currently have on the Australian market. Now, that is just wrong, and that is certainly something that we at Bonza are trying to challenge. We are at the dizzy heights of between 1% and 2% of the market at the moment, but for the markets that we serve, the regional destinations we serve, we're actually a lot more important than that 1 or 2% actually suggests. We want to maintain and grow, and we need to be encouraged to do so, and the government can certainly encourage us to do that by changing some of the policies that they have control over, including Sydney slots.
Tim, thanks for your time.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.